the security situation, we do know that a lot unfolds lately, but only recently, not long ago, concerned coalition of concerned northerners, that's what they call themselves, set up this 7-man committee to look into so many issues, some of them religious harmony, revenue allocation, security, collapse in education, and among so many other matters. But Alhaji Mahmud Othman joins us now. He's a public affairs analyst. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
Well, different methods, different scenarios being employed by different regions, different groups, security agencies to see that so many things are addressed. But this one goes beyond security, which happens to be one of those, into all other matters. And then you have a lot of people asking questions. Wait a minute, isn't this more political than security? Is it?
Well, people have every right to perceive things the way they see them. But the average northerner from any one of the 19 northern states is shocked of the recent developments. What has been going on in the north, which is a very, very peaceful area, part of the world, not just in Nigeria alone. And suddenly things develop from nowhere, and it looks like nobody has a solution. So there has to be some kind of understanding. They were doing this thing informally before. When some people accuse them of not talking or something, actually those people don't know what they're talking about. But there are a lot of communication going on at informal level. Only that now they make it public. But don't forget that there are a lot of advices to government. And the government did not take heed to any one of those advices. And not only that, the government itself set up committees.
Sorry, advice from such meetings?
Well, when you are talking about the challenge of security, this problem started from Maiduguri Metropolitan Local Government. And by the escalation of the problem, back in either August or September last year, the very prominent people from that part of Nigeria met and came with a communique. And the communique was more like an open letter actually to federal government, telling them or suggesting exactly what was to be done to bring peace to, at that time, Maiduguri and Borno State. And the government, just like government ignored Dr. Lemu Commission, Galtimari Commission, and so on, ignored even that one. And these people took trouble to buy pages of newspapers and put exactly, or at least recommended those things to be done. And nobody did anything. So many other things. Sultan of Sokoto led one committee after the other, one meeting after the other. Arewa Consultative Forum did one thing or the other, but nobody was listening. So it is now two dimensions. Some retired generals, I wouldn't call them retired generals, at least General Babangida, General Abdulsalam Abubakar, and some other people, Alhaji Yusuf Maitomasli, and so on, met at a different level. And then another group, Dr. Junaidu Muhammad and his group, also met. Junaidu's committee, or Dr. Junaidu Muhammad, I think they have a forum, which is a combination of politicians and so many other people, professionals, and so on. And they set up, I think, 9 committees, either 10 committees. The different committees have membership, either from a membership of 7 to a membership of 28 different people to do different things. Then the other one, most people refer to as the IBB, Abdulsalam Abubakar, and so on. They have 2 committees, one under Marshal Dagash, and the other one under Senator John Washpam. I don't think there's anything political about this.
Okay.
Because it's a challenge. What is happening to the North really is a challenge to the North.
Okay, but if you say that the average Northerner was shocked at some of the developments playing out now, what about the leadership in the North? Would they claim to be surprised? Because, I mean, if you see the army of unemployed youths in the area, just as you have unemployment in other parts of the country, it was just a matter of time before such things happen.
Well, the problem is that when you are talking of leadership, there is a vacuum. Northern Nigeria used to have this traditional leadership. Everybody recognizes, everybody respects. Then in the name of urbanization, in the name of copying everything foreign, I think everybody now surrendered to some other forces outside. whoever they were, copycats all over the place. So all the core values are disappearing, not just in northern Nigeria, most of Nigeria and the whole world. People are just copying other people. What used to be very, very important to us is no longer important because people really move about. New urban centers sprang out. Nobody knows who they are. There's no accountability and so on. So people do all sorts of things. So that's why you have these security challenges. In the good old days, any outsider who comes, people know that there is an outsider in the area. Anybody who moves into a new accommodation, who is an alien to the area, people know. In those days, the police know their terrain. They know their own, whether it is a DP or whatever, they know exactly who are in the area. So many things have taken attention, diverted attention of people now from whatever it is, what used to be core values, to some nonsensical things. And therefore, when you are talking of northern Nigeria, all those values we used to have, we know each other, everybody is each other's keeper, your surname means a lot to you. You don't want to be seen to do something that will tarnish the reputation of your family. People have moved about now, have changed, values have changed. That's why people are doing anything they like. Well, all this from corruption to anything you can think of.
I think if you look at it now, when you talked about different committees and different personalities that have come together to actually try to see how they can help salvage the situation in northern Nigeria, different groups, is it that, for instance, Gatimari, Lemu, some of the generals and some of these people, all of them, not even one of those groups was listened to?
No. Not even before anybody heard of Galtumari or Dr. Lemu's commissions, there was General Sarki Mukhtar's commission or committee as far back as the days of Ayradua when this crisis in Maiduguri started. And what happened, whatever it was, like any other commission of inquiry, like any judicial commission of inquiry in Nigeria, there will be a lot of noise when the committee is formed or commission, whatever. Okay. They will go around, they will listen to whatever, they make recommendation to government, they will go on television, with all the camera people will go and presentation will be made either to a governor or to a president. And that will be the end of it.
The 19 governors, they met almost 48 hours ago, and that's on Tuesday specifically. Do you think that such meeting is capable of solving the situation in northern Nigeria?
Well, you know, the problem with as I mentioned, there's a leadership vacuum. You see, you may have 19 governors, but the problem with the governors, because of the dubious way some of them came to office, people really don't respect governors, not just governors in northern Nigeria, governors in Nigeria as a whole. So a gang of governors doesn't mean much to any people, to the ordinary person. The perception as far as governors are concerned, they are pursuing their own agenda, whatever that is. But because of the situation, the current situation, if they don't solve their own problem, nobody will solve it for them. It's not enough for people just a local problem to be ignored, and then people for their own selfish interest want to internationalize the program and keep calling outsiders to come and keep naming things from Al-Qaeda to Shabash to whatever they want to call it. Local problem is a local problem. No amount of CIA, no amount of Mossad, no amount of anybody else from outside will come and understand our situation more than we ourselves.
Do you think that they can be successful, considering the fact that, you know, some ex-governors were said to have started this particular problem in the very first instance? They saw the vacuum, they armed the youths, you know, started as into rivalry gangs, and before you know what's happening, they went out of control. Do you think that the governors can be successful in this particular beat without the influence of any outsiders?
Well, you see, whether the governor will succeed or not, this issue is simply a matter of dialogue. The crisis now, how do you really solve it? Are you going to crush it by force? Everybody believed that nothing will be achieved by force. Whether you call it a state of emergency, whether you call it a curfew, after all, there is a state of emergency as we are talking right now. There is a curfew as we are talking right now. As far as government is concerned, government has also closed borders. But what happened? More and more escalation of the same problem. Bombings, killings, maimings, arson attacks, and so on and so forth. So what is the use of so-called emergency? What is the use of so-called all the armored tanks and so on will not solve the problem. The problem is, how do you really reconcile people?
You can only bring reconciliation. Sorry, Alaji, to butt in here. You can only talk about reconciliation when you actually know the problem. You know, over time, we've always been here on the same program.
Yes.
We talk about religion, we talk about education. Now again, people talk about resource control. So everyone seems to be confused as to what exactly the problem is.
Well, the core thing is this education and awareness. With education, you can solve the problem, economic problem. Most of economic problem have their root in education. And education, when you are talking of North, really you have two educations. The average Western learned person does not believe Islamic education is education. But people are literate. The average literacy in Northern Nigeria is not like what people are thinking. If you say A, B, C, D, this Western thing, Latin literature is education only, then probably that means you discount the Chinese, the Ethiopians and so on, who write in their own language, and or the Indian Sanskrit and all that kind of thing. You have people at all levels. That's why as far back as 1981 in Kano, we came with 3 newspapers. One in English, one in Hausa but written in Arabic, and the other one written in Hausa, with Roman alphabets. For the simple reason that to catch every aspect of readers, people who cannot read ABCD, they can read the same thing in Arabic script. But what happened now? The governors you mentioned before, yes, they are politicians. Most of them are young people who are not. They are neither here nor there. And the way the political parties, the way this civilian rule is going about it, this accumulation of wealth, this lack of concern, this lack of probity, this lack of anything else, the indiscipline. There are no longer role models you want to copy. Nobody should make any mistake of putting the governors of today or the rulers of today with that class people used to talk about, like Obafemi Awolowo, like Ahmadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa, and Okpara, and so on and so on, Dr. Azikiwe. No, this is a completely different era.
Okay.
Maybe the challenges are different, but all the same.
Yeah.
These leaders of today, they have to earn respect.
Okay.
Not because they keep an office, then everybody must listen to them. When they meet and say they are taking a decision on something, people are suspicious.
The group is convened by Dr. Junaid Mohammed,
Yes.
the group of concerned Northerners. And then you have some Northern governors who are also members of that group. So what happens when they come up with their recommendations? Are they supposed to pass it to the governors who will in turn implement, or how do they plan to work that out?
Well, actually, everything you are saying, I also read it in the papers. And even the combination, the committee's combination, just a little suspicious, but we have to be hopeful. We hope that they will see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because the problems are many. And if you have this display of affluence by a clique, by a few, and you have this army of unemployed, dispossessed, who have no learned proletariat, as you can call it in Marxist term, who really have no hope of anything. When they wake up like this in the morning, they have nowhere to go, they have nothing to do, and therefore they are suspicious and they are annoyed with any other person who is well dressed, or who drives a car up, or who has a big house, or something like that. So when you have this tension permanently created in a society, you don't just go to your house and sleep with your 2 eyes closed, because if you don't solve that problem outside there, your house cannot be your house in peace. Because
one wonders, because we're not sure there's any timeline here, let alone terms of reference, but the thing is, after some time, if the average person out there, Northern, who expects some sort of impact from this group, doesn't see it maybe in his own time, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 months, because these issues, some of which are what governors have tried to tackle in 4 years, 8 years, they still haven't sorted it out. And then, so what if young people wait for this committee to do something and nothing is forthcoming? Won't they lose hope and say that it's political after all?
Well, even now, without losing hope, people are still suspicious. Whatever meeting anybody, whatever meeting anybody holds, people don't think those people holding the meeting are serious.
That's sad.
So many talk shops all over the place. When it's come to talking, of course, Nigerian will feature in every Guinness Book of World Record. But when it's come to implementation, of course, we are nowhere to be found. So it is a matter now of the challenges on those people who claim that they are now out in the open and they want to do something different. It is up to them. Now, if you have these committees, like Junaidu's many committees with a lot of governors inside here and there, some of them, one of the governors, I think, is the chairman of one of the committees and so on. Now it is up to those people who are holding those, who are members of that committee, to make sure that it works. And whatever they recommend, they have to work together with the 19 governors and all the local government chairmen and all the traditional rulers. These are different constituencies.
Honestly, it is larger than we thought. The way you just analyze it is also from the government to the community, the traditional rulers, as well as the individuals. Now, since this wholesome approach is what we are looking at this point in time, don't you think it even goes beyond having a communique or some kind of recommendation?
Well, it has gone more than that. I mean, anybody who is interested in solving the problem, it's not a matter of all these writings and communique and press conferences. The thing is real. Okay? Now, for example, if you want to talk to Ahlul Sunnah, the Boko Haram people, who do you talk to? But every crisis in the world, since the beginning of human history, no amount of crisis, you call it, whatever you call it, whether you call it imperialist First World War or imperialist Second World War, or whatever you call it, there must be a dialogue. It ends up sitting on a table even to sign a surrender. Signing a surrender document is also dialogue. That means it's over and acceptance. Somebody has accepted that the war is over. And that's why you are sitting there to now write the terms under don't harass us, don't do this, don't do that, and so on and so on. Don't raise an army like what they did to the Japanese and Germans after the Second World War. So at the end of the day, you have to sit down. You can imagine all the bravado of America in Afghanistan with Bin Laden and everything else. What happened now? Did they achieve anything? But when you have these little problems here and there, people who started it at that initial stage were known. Now they don't even know them. And government doesn't even know what it's doing. For example, how do you justify kidnapping that German and that Italian and British? And everybody kept it secret.
For almost
I never heard from Adam that two Westerners were kept somewhere by kidnapped somewhere.
It's a fundamental challenge you have there.
So what kind of leadership you have there? Who advised government don't say anything?
Because they must have heard about it.
Of course, they said they have been negotiating. Now, how do you keep people from May 2011, and then they just got killed about 10 days ago? What happened in that period? What kind of negotiator are you? What kind of leadership, what kind of security, what kind of intelligence is that?
If you look at this now, it raises a lot of questions, because is this, some would describe as another way of saying, which is perhaps you might have touched on it, governance has failed in the region, and all those who seem to be running away from, look, you have to come to that table to talk. This is another way of saying it. Things have failed. If individuals are coming up to set up that group, including governors, there's much more serious challenge we've got.
Well, it's a very serious challenge. You see, people only talk of this new phenomena, these new bombing things. But how do you also forget the Fulani and the other person's clash? The Fulani was terrorists. By tradition, they move about for their cattle to eat grass, here, wherever they find it, and drink water, whatever. And then there used to be grazing grounds all over northern Nigeria. There used to be paths created by law, gazetted, for the Fulani pastoralists to take track all the way from one extreme end to the other. The new rich have acquired all those fields, convert them either into their farms or into their mansions or estates or whatever. So the Fulanis have been marginalized. and they are fighting back. So every now and then you hear some clash from Zamfara to Kano, from Kano to Taraba to anywhere else in northern Nigeria. And that one even spilled over to the western part of the country, like in Oyo State. Pastoralists want to their cattle go and eat whatever they can find. I mean, cattle are animals. Wherever grass is, it doesn't matter. They will not discriminate between your maize or your guinea corn or whatever it is with any other grass.
Yeah, but this undoing is the average man that is suffering.
Of course. So what happened is those authorities that were supposed to be doing their job have forgotten how to do it. People are busy acquiring wealth. You are busy acquiring political power. All this election rigging, all this manipulation and so on. But the real thing, the governance itself, has disappeared. So this is where we have to go back. We have got to go back to basics. Now, if those people who are so much involved in this and they cannot even see their left from their right, then outsiders, neutralists are now saying, look, this is the way forward. If you are too involved to see anything wrong, we have another way.
One would think that, the clamor for power, of course, is also to make sure that at some point we're able to use that power as much as we have it for development on the ground. For instance, now, the new clamor is for more revenue, an equitable distribution, as it were, of resources at the center. Do you think that could also be part of, this new agitation, which you think can actually help the governors ultimately?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, that kind of argument really is a lazy man's talk. Because first of all, I was in government. Believe me, I never realized that we are getting money from anywhere. And that was not long ago. Abubakar Imi of blessed memory and so on, we have under PRP redemption policy. We are just doing our own thing. The little amount of naira we spent and produce something. Okay? I give you a small example. There was a hotel I started, hotel manager on board came under one of my ministries. And I started building a hotel. And that hotel, in the old money, the old naira, before SAF destroyed naira, I borrowed, when I say not me as a person, but government borrowed from the old Bank of the North and First Bank, a combination of 6.5 million. We were supposed to finish that hotel, 125 room hotel, 5-star. They call it Magong Hotel. And somewhere along the line, I left the office. The civil works were finished, everything was finished. I think 4 years later or 5 years later, one of the military governors went around to see abandoned projects. And they were telling him that they needed 69 million to complete it. Okay? Up to this day, I'm talking about almost 30 years after. That place is still abandoned project. Nobody can even finish it now. Okay? So this is the kind of thing we're talking about. When all over northern Nigeria, actually is not just northern Nigeria. People are there. People are annoyed with their rulers. I mean, how do you explain Eza and Ezilo in Ibonyi? Two neighboring neighbors, intermarriage, relationship, common markets, common language, common religion, and so on. But they go for each other's throat, go in the night and massacre everybody. What is this anger? Now, everybody who is a poultry farmer can tell you, one of the biggest crises you have as a poultry farmer, with chickens. When you crowd them in two places, they start attacking each other mercilessly. From picking their tails to their head and so on, until you really make room for them, for everybody to realize that he has a territory of his own he can feel free about.
A quick
so
one here,
the same thing. You deny people opportunity, people will crash gate crash and try to take it.
No, a quick one, yeah. If we look at the northern Nigeria specifically now, you talked about education, and you say, well, we have different kinds of education. You try to see how you can actually explain and expatiate more on that, and we understand that they also have the nomadic kind of education. But again, people still see those people they call the Almajiris on a daily basis on the streets, and some say that these people are easily used for what we're experiencing now at this point in time. So how do you think we can actually get ourselves out of all of that?
Well, you see, the Almajiri phenomena was an abused educational system. At the beginning, innocently, it was working. But now it is because of the deprivation of people who cannot afford anything. They allow their children from rural areas to move to anywhere they can go in the name of going to learn something from a particular malam, whatever. And that those people move about and take those children, innocent children at their tender age, and abandon them to their fate. Okay, so what we used to have under from Almajiri nuisance, in case once you shout something, they are all young people, all right, but they take the law into their own hands. They throw they throw stone into glass houses because they have nothing to lose. They burn vehicles and so on and so on. So those who graduated from Almajiri, now you have this new phenomenon called motorcycle riding in the name of what they call Okada. Okay, Okada, of course, you hear everywhere. Okada is used to, with all respect to Okada people, I'm not talking of every Okada person. But a lot of criminality have been taking place through Okada riding, that to go and shoot somebody in where the crisis is, or to take armed robbers to a place and leave them there, or whatever it is. So, when you put all this together, you have this large crowd of people who have nothing to do, who have nothing positive to contribute, because that's what the society forced them into. Now, those people who are responsible, for example, you have Federal Minister of Education. You have 36 states ministers of education, plus Federal Capital Territory. All 774 local governments of Nigeria have education department. So you have primary, you have tertiary education and so on. But really, is anybody doing anything about those educational systems?
Well, I guess with
now,
that...
the highest bidder is the one who can get education. The ordinary people, it's all talk. Budget will come, they will allocate so and so billions. No, we are no longer talking millions. But the money doesn't go to where it is supposed to work.
That's a big challenge.
That's the problem.